You may have heard the claim popping up everywhere lately, maybe online, on social media, or even in texts from friends. It's this idea that a single Bible verse can stop a panic attack in just 10 seconds. Now, as a Christian counselor, my first thought was, it's not that simple. Anxiety is a complex beast, and I've sat with hundreds of people in the thick of its suffocating grip. Easy answers can feel pretty dismissive. But then my second thought kicked in. What if there's something to it? What if the promise in that verse is more than just spiritual comfort? What if it's actually a practical instruction? So I decided to investigate. I dug into the clinical science behind what happens in your brain during prayer, what's going on during a panic attack, and how the ancient words of scripture map into modern therapeutic techniques. And what I found is a powerful tool, a kind of grounding prayer that can essentially trick your brain into a state of calm. So today I'm going to break down exactly why it works and how you can use it the next time you feel that wave of panic starting to rise. Before we can understand the solution, we have to get honest about the problem. If you've never had a full-blown panic attack, it's tough to wrap your head around. If everyday worry is a leaky faucet, a panic attack is like a fire hose going off in your face. It's a tsunami of physical and mental chaos that feels completely convincing in its message. You are in mortal danger. It starts with a trigger, sometimes a thought, sometimes a sensation, something nothing you can say even pinpoint. Your heart starts to pound, not like you just ran up the stairs, but like it's trying to hammer its way out of your chest. Your breath gets short and shallow. You just can't seem to get enough air. You might feel dizzy, lightheaded, like the whole world is tilting on its axis. Your vision can narrow into what's known as tunnel vision. Your hands and feet might go tingle or completely numb. And that's just the physical part. Mentally, your brain is screaming at you. Intrusive thoughts loop like a broken record, playing the most possible news headline. I'm having a heart attack. I'm losing my mind. I'm going to pass out or die right here. This whole fight or flight response is like a hypersensitive car alarm. It's designed to save your car from being stolen. But right now, it's blaring at full volume because a leaf just fell on the windshield. The alarm feels real, but the threat is not. And for Christians, there's a second silent attack that follows the first one. Guilt. It's like getting a bill for the damages right after a tornado has torn through your house. A voice whispers, if you just had more faith, you wouldn't feel this. If you really trusted God, you'd have peace. You're a bad Christian for being so anxious. Let me be clear. This is one of the most biggest and most harmful myths in the faith community. Anxiety is not a measure of your faith. It's a human experience. Think of it like your car's check engine light. The light isn't the problem. It's a signal that something under the hood needs your attention, and learning how to respond to that signal instead of being consumed by it is where the real power is. The Bible doesn't shame us for feeling anxious. It gives us a direct, practical game plan for what to do when we are. The verse at the heart of this is 10-second cure claim is Philippians 4, verses 6 and 7. It says, do not be anxious about anything, but in every situation, by prayer and petition, with thanksgiving, present your requests to God, and the peace of God, which transcends all understandings, will guard your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus. For a lot of people who struggle with anxiety, this verse can feel less like a comfort, more like an impossible command. Don't be anxious. That's all I am right now. It's like telling someone who is freezing to just be warm. It feels impossible and a little insulting. This is where many of us stop. But what if it isn't just a command? What if it is a process? What if it's like being told to get warm, first put on this coat, then drink this hot tea, and finally come stand by the fire? Suddenly, the impossible command becomes a series of practical, achievable steps. This is where my investigation as a counselor got really exciting. That instruction from the Apostle Paul maps directly into a powerful evidence based tool we use in therapy called grounding. Grounding techniques are used to do one thing: pull your brain out of chaotic fear spiral and anchor it in the present moment. When you're having a panic attack, your mind is like a time traveler stuck in a terrifying future, catastrophizing about what might happen. Grounding uses your body to pull your awareness back to the safety of the here and now, which sends a crucial signal to your nervous system. You are actually safe. Think of your anxiety as a raging storm at sea. Your thoughts are the chaotic waves tossing you around. A grounding technique is like dropping a heavy anchor. It doesn't magically stop the storm, but it holds the boat steady until the storm passes. And it turns out that the Bible gave us one of the most elegant grounding techniques imaginable. 2,000 years before therapy put a clinical name to it. The first in Philippians doesn't just say stop being anxious. It gives us a three-part game plan to follow instead. This is what I call the grounding prayer, and each step has a distinct neurological job to do. The verse says, by prayer and petition with thanksgiving, present your requests to God. Let's break that down from a clinical perspective. When a panic attack hits, your amygdala, the brain's tiny alarm system, has taken over. Think of it as a terrified toddler having a screaming meltdown in the middle of a store, hijacking all your attention. The first step, prayer and petition, is an act of acknowledgement. You're turning towards God and saying, I feel this is happening. You aren't fighting the feeling, you're naming it. This is simple act starts to engage your prefrontal cortex, the calm, logical parent part of your brain. It's like the parent kneeling down, making eye contact and saying, I see that you are scared, which is the first step to calming the child. This is the most critical and honestly the most brilliant part of the whole process. The instruction to include Thanksgiving isn't just a reminder to be polite to God, it's a powerful neurological hack. Your brain is a railway yard. A panic attack is a runway train locked on a single track, barreling toward a cliff of disaster. At the same time, it's almost impossible for your brain to hold a state of active gratitude and a state of active panic simultaneously. Trying to do both is like trying to make your car accelerate and brake at the exact same time. It just can't happen. When you deliberately force your mind to find something you're thankful for, you are performing a cognitive shift. You are grabbing the big lever at the switch house and manually changing the tracks. As your brain searches for something good and real, you are rerouting the train of your thoughts away from the cliff of disaster and onto a scenic, peaceful route. This is the key to knowing how this prayer can work so fast. Finally, you present your requests. This is the exhale. Imagine you've been carrying a backpack filled with heavy rocks this whole time. After acknowledging the weight and shifting your focus, you now formally hand the backpack over to God. You're not just admitting you can't carry it, you're actively placing the burden with someone strong enough to handle it. You ask for peace. You ask for the fear to be taken away. This step confirms your surrender and lets go of the tension. The result, as the verse promises, is the peace of God. And it adds that this peace will guard your hearts and your minds. That word for guard is a military term, ferrero. It means to stand watch over a fortress like a sentry. So this practice isn't just about finding a moment of calm. It's about setting up a spiritual and psychological guard post around your heart and mind. So, how do we turn all this beautiful theology and neuroscience into a practical 10-second tool for when your heart is racing and you can barely think straight? We have to make it a reflex, a simple, repeatable action that you can practice when you're calm. So it's ready for you when you're not. Practicing this is like carving a path in a dense forest. The first few times it's difficult, but soon you've created a clear trail that's easy and quick to follow when you need it most. We combine the principles from the verse with a classic grounding technique called box breathing. It's a simple loop you can do in about 10 seconds. Here's the exercise. You can even try it with me now. First, inhale for 4 seconds while acknowledging the feeling. As you breathe in slowly, just think the first part of the prayer. God, I feel this panic. Don't judge it, just name it. Second, hold your breath for 2 or 3 seconds while you make the shift to gratitude. In that pause, find one single tangible thing in your immediate surroundings to be thankful for. This is how you anchor yourself to the present. Silently pray, thank you for the floor under my feet, or thank you for the blue sky, or thank you for this chair holding me up. It has to be sensory. It has to be real. Feel the feet on the ground. Notice the color. Feel the texture of your chair. Third, exhale for 4 or 5 seconds while releasing control. As you breathe out, give it away. Silently pray, please take this fear, or I receive your peace. Imagine the anxiety leaving your body with your breath. That's the loop. Inhale, God, I feel this panic. Hold and anchor. Thank you for my feet on the ground. Exhale, please take this fear. That whole cycle takes about 10 seconds. You can do it once. You can do it 3 times in a row. You can do it with your eyes open while walking down the street or in the middle of a street. No one ever has to know. Each repetition clears that neural pathway, making it easier and more effective the next time. So, is this Bible verse a magic 10-second cure for all anxiety? No. And let me be really clear as a counselor, this is a powerful tool, but it is not a replacement for therapy, medication, or a community of support when you need them. Serious anxiety often needs professional care, and there's zero shame in that. What this is a training exercise for your mind and your spirit. It's a way to take the profound promise of God's peace and turn it into a practical, powerful reflex against the wave of panic. It transforms Philippians chapter 4, verses 6 and 7 from a daunting command into a life-saving anchor. You're not broken for feeling anxious, and you are not alone in this fight. You have tools, both spiritual and psychological, at your disposal to find your way back to peace. This grounding prayer is one of the most powerful I've ever found because it engages your body, your brain, and your spirit all at once. My encouragement to you is to practice it. Try it now. Try it tomorrow morning when you wake up. The more you do it when you're calm, the more accessible it will be when the storm finally hits. As you finish this episode, take a moment to ask yourself, what is one small tangible thing you can be thankful for right now? Let that be your grounding anchor for this moment. And if this was helpful, consider sharing it with someone you might know who might be struggling, because we all need to be reminded that peace is possible.